Hi third graders! So here I have my plan for my emoji tree. My emotion that I chose is inquisitive, and this is the design of my tree. I'm going to be building a three-dimensional model of my tree. The size you want to build is up to you and also up to the resources that you have available to you. Make sure that if you're thinking about using any particular materials that aren't like recycled materials, that you ask someone, an adult in your household, if that's okay to be used for an art project before you dive in. I'm going to be using something that is hopefully easily obtainable at home, which is a paper bag. Any kind of thicker paper like junk mail, newspaper, would probably work really great as well. I'm going to be cutting this bag into some different sized pieces to start to build my structure, and I'm going to start with the trunk of the tree, the base. I need to build a strong base so that it can hold up all the branches and things like that. I'm going to give you a couple ideas of ways to build with paper. Okay, third graders, so my first building technique is the twist. You can see my tree has a bit of a twist. I have 3 strips, and the first thing I'm going to do is crumple and wrinkle each piece up separately. I'm actually going to twist the paper. Now that I have my 3 twists, I'm going to start connecting them. So I'm going to twist them together kind of from the middle. And I have some, almost like some of the roots are starting to show at the bottom, so I want to set that up so that my roots, those roots can kind of be seen. It's also going to help my tree stand up, and I'm going to take a piece of tape and wrap that tape around the base. If it doesn't stand up, I'm going to need to consider adding some more stabilizing pieces at the bottom. And then continuing to wrap upward. I'm going to secure it with another piece of tape at the top. Alright, this is not quite thick enough yet, so I'm going to continue adding some strips and doing my twisting method until I have the size of tree that I'm trying to create here. Hi third graders, so I've been working on thickening up my tree. As you can see, I'm starting to wrap around some strips around the trunk base here. I'm going to start working on the branches pretty soon. I want to shape the branches a little bit more to be a little bit more curved, like in my sketch. So one thing I'm going to do is divide these thicker pages, or these thicker papers, into smaller bits by cutting a line through them, and then kind of twisting and crunching them into the shapes that I like. You might need to secure some of these with tape if they are not staying on their own. Okay, so you can see my branches are starting to form into the more curvy shapes that I was looking for. At this point, I could, if I had leaves or other items in my tree, I could begin adding those with smaller pieces of paper. You can use regular paper, you can continue to use paper from the paper bag, just you could color it if you want different colors, and attaching those items onto your tree as you see fit. I want to show you one more method of building your basic trunk, your base, that is not the twist method. I usually call this the burrito method. For the burrito method, you need to start with one large sheet, and you want it to be the height that you want your tree trunk to go. And I'm simply actually going to roll that up like a burrito or like a tube, and get it to the thickness. So if you want it thinner, roll it tighter. If you want it thicker, a loose roll. And I'm going to put a piece of tape on the edge there. If your base came out uneven like mine, you can give it a cut across. That stands up okay. It might need some reinforcement pieces at the bottom. But now I have a trunk to then build my branches off of. You can do that in a number of different ways. You can cut strips like this, have them kind of taped or glued to the inside and coming out. Going from the edges by building a tab, which means just pushing a little bit of the branch back and then tapering or gluing that on. Use your imagination and see what you can come up with to create your emoji tree in 3D. Alright, third graders, and one final thing to share with you today. You can also make curls or spirals with pieces of paper to add to your tree for branches by taking small strips of your paper of choice and curling them either around a pencil or just around themselves. Either way works. Another thing you can do is experiment with different kinds of folds. You could, for example, do a zigzag fold or an accordion fold. Some of you might not have trees that are rounded, so you can get a zigzag fold that way. Use your imagination and your creativity and see what you can come up with for your tree.